More on the Reddit drama. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by HelloFresh. Go to hellofresh.com/MacVoices50 for 50% off plus free shipping. MacVoices is supported by Notion. Do your most efficient work with Notion projects at notion.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. The MacVoices Live panel concludes their discussion of all the drama surrounding Reddit and the changing positions of its management versus its users and moderators. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking.
The copyright issue is an issue, but it's a separate issue from, one of the earlier things, like this before ChatGPT was like a thing that made it popular, people were using using them to help select resumes based on previous decisions. And what it got really good at doing was being better at us at being biased and picking those things like, names like this don't, because you don't know what things are being used. Names like this don't tend to get used as often, whether those are female or a particular ethnicity or whatever, like whatever thing it's choosing, that's not part of it. It's not part of it that we get to see. And so what it was doing was getting even better than us at being biased. And I don't remember whose it was.
And also being deniable that you were doing that.
Yeah, and we get this idea that, it's a computer that did it, so therefore it's objective, but that's where the learning matters a lot. And that's theoretically benign, but ended up having horrible consequences. Like, they weren't feeding it like Nazi propaganda, which is readily available on the internet. Mm-hmm. They were just giving it resumes that had already been filtered. So I hadn't thought about it before you asked me, to be honest, Chuck, because I didn't see that article earlier. But I'll think about it. But I, off the top of my head, I don't know. It's like we can just feed it. Well, I guess we could just feed it like old encyclopedias, like, with the pages of encyclopedias. That it'll just be horribly dated.
And also biased, because...
And also biased, yeah.
We don't have a way to not have bias in content.
It's true. One of the ways when you're doing other types of decision making, like, we're in a group making decisions together, is to have a really diverse group of people. And that doesn't just mean like, they look different. It means they have different backgrounds. You have some people who come from one part of the country. Some people come from another country. Some people come, so you're splitting up the subcultures, and then they're going to take longer to make decisions, but come up with more robust decisions. And so maybe it's something like that, something that's diverse, but the problem with the internet at large is there's a high volume of garbage.
Readily accessible garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to argue unreasonably, but I'll say that for a minute. Eric, you put something in our chat that I want you to comment on, because interestingly, I think if you're going to say what I think you're going to say, I just had a discussion today with one of the speakers at MacStock, and this was part of the discussion, and that would be,
well, if you are using the ChatGPTs or large language models to try and do work, you have to give input to get your work back. So if you take a chunk of code you're working on it and submit it and say, how do I optimize this code? You've just turned over a bunch of private corporate code to somebody that could do whatever with that query, and you have no idea who will have access to it. So, like Apple, for instance, it looks like they're going to set up private servers and ban anyone using external ones, specifically so intellectual property from Apple doesn't get sent out all over the place, or it doesn't accidentally spill information about some new product that shouldn't be out there.
that's not where I thought you were going to go with that, but that's a real good point.
So now I'm curious where I was going to go.
Does that make it more quality or less quality as a source?
My guess is depends on the query.
Because it also impacts the model, theoretically, in the long run.
You mean having a company do their own system, or
No, whatever you put into the big public one. Because that's why they want it, right? That's why you've waived it, is so they can do diagnostics, but also so they can use it in their models.
Yes, but that's then turning over all of that code to everyone.
It is turning it over, but and then that's a totally different issue. And if you're Apple, you obviously can't do that. My brother does it, but also he knows the owner of his company very well. So, it's a very small company. They've decided they don't care. But like, are our questioners giving it better information? And the answer is, I don't know.
And Eric, that's along the lines of where I thought you were going to go. The idea that and we've talked about this a little bit before here, that the skill at writing the queries is going to evolve and develop as a skill, just like skill is developed in doing Google searches. I mean, if the more effort you put into a Google search, the better result, more on point result you're likely to get. So.
Well, it just means there'll be another large language model that is optimized for generating queries that work well with whatever the specific large language model. So you ask a query to that, it will take it and say, oh, no, ask it this other way, and then submit it off. And it'll just go through 2 or 3 language models before you get an answer back.
I know. Listen, you're not wrong.
You're right.
You're not wrong. I mean, so you're going to have 2 interpreters two interpreting large language models to ask a third the question to get the best answer.
Right. Or to know which one to ask, right? If it's an art question, maybe you fill out a form or something. If it's an art question and you want a picture back, it knows, send it over here. If you have a coding question, no, don't send it to the art server, send it over to the coding one and ask it this way, giving it information about what language, and you get a better answer. It's kind of like trying to pretend like you have a librarian helping you, but it's not really a librarian.
Brian, I always look to you and ask, from the education standpoint, do you have thoughts on this? Do you have concerns, fears, desires about, how this could go, should go?
Well, I'm thinking about how it, in the discussion specifically on how the results, the bias aspects of it, the queries that get put in, there's so many aspects that obviously do connect with education. Even thinking about things like FERPA and things of, when we talk about company secrets, from the enterprise positions, giving away, potential products and services that have not yet been released to the public. I think that also comes into play, with inquiries of, when it comes to students and student data and things of that nature too. It's definitely a slippery slope, and something, that, it's almost like I wonder how much of, the policies and procedures and things of that nature aren't caught up yet. In many ways, we see different aspects in life that new technologies come out and the policies haven't caught up to them sometimes. And I think that, you're going to see a lot of harm done in the rollout, I think, as people just use it by themselves. We've seen, countless times where people do something and it, whether it makes the news or not, but we, within individual companies where people get in trouble for different things, not securing the data in a proper way, things like that. I think this is just another opportunity where that might come about as well.
It's a little bit of a mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even know what we're dealing with yet while trying to write policy on it and have it be an active product.
Yeah, Guy, I think your statement that you just made is really, it's only partly accurate. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I think you misspoke, and what you really meant was it's only going to get worse.
Until it gets worse.
Until it gets worse. There we go.
I'd like to believe kind of what I said earlier, that part of this deal is going to be the models getting intelligent enough to know what is and isn't legitimate. Right now we've seen the social media services all come under fire for false information.
Yeah.
And so they try to put human curation in, and that doesn't work. So, we're at least as bad, if not worse, maybe, than the models. They're just a little bit faster than we are. I mean, how many times have you heard somebody draw a conclusion from data that is not supported by the data, but it's the conclusion they want? So that's the one that they
human
advance.
Nature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but is that going to become large language model nature too?
Well,
Humans are the ones that are putting in the information. So again, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, Chuck, part of the problem here, you triggered this for me when you said, well, will they become more intelligent? Well, in the scope of large language models, which is what ChatGPT is, no, they will not become more intelligent because they literally have no intelligence. This is a system where you're running algorithms that do statistical probability, and that's it. So you can refine those algorithms based on the inputs and responses you're getting from someone. Like, let's say I asked ChatGPT to write an article about the impact social media has had on people through the pandemic, and it gives me a whole thing back, and I say, okay, now add in this aspect, and now I've modified that. The system takes that into account, and when future queries are made, it now has new information in its algorithm, but there's no intelligence. And earlier Jim mentioned I hate when I forget words. Not when it's tripping. Hallucinating. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And hallucinating, I mean, for us, it's a great word because we get what it means. For the average person out there, when they hear that ChatGPT was hallucinating, they think it's out tripping balls. But the reality is, it's just doing large language model stuff. And people are getting the results that the algorithm thinks are right, because it's just about what word is most likely to come next based on the query I was given. And then it gives you all this wrong information. It's not lying to you. It's just putting words out based on math. So anyhow, long-winded way of saying these aren't going to get smarter because they literally can't.
Jeff, that's, you've done that to us before, and you're absolutely right. This, and to our credit, we've shied away from the AI moniker. We're not saying these are artificial intelligence entities. They are large language models. So if we do get to AI, do we have a whole new set of problems, or do we have a solution?
Yes.
Well, this technology is not going to turn into AI. So, we can't really take anything we learn about LLMs to apply to that because we don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
it's not thinking. It's not thinking.
It's not thinking, but Jim, at some point,
well, that's saying, can we apply lessons we've learned by riding horses to interstellar travel.
Well, everybody has shoes on.
Oh yeah.
I see where you're going, Jim, and I it's not a bad example, but I guess if we're going to see AI is going to have some basis for information or knowledge. And whether it's going to be the LLM itself, or whether it's going to be the corpus of information that the LLM has aggregated. I mean, that would, if I were designing,
You don't really
AI,
know very much about natural intelligence.
We don't see
That's
much
a really good
natural
point.
intelligence.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to try to start with AI, you're going to have to start somewhere and give it information. And the LLMs are scraping that information up from Reddit and from Twitter and Facebook and anywhere else that it can get its greedy little paws in, and just pulling it in.
Would you ask a child to use an LLM for research on a paper they're trying to write and expect that it would be right? I mean, how would you tell them what to believe and what not to believe? Because it all sounds very believable. I think you have the same problem with an AI if we ever get to one. I'm not sure you would ever want to let it have access to a large language model, because it would be very believable and it would learn how to say it in a way that the AI thought it was true. And, it would not end up well.
Today's Mac Voices is supported by Notion. Do your most efficient work with Notion projects at notion.com/MacVoices. Project management tools are supposed to help you move faster and stay organized. The funny thing is, most are so complex that you try not to use them. When you do, you're usually flipping between 50 tabs or worse, several apps just to do your job. You clearly haven't found the right tool yet. That's why today I'm excited to share that Notion has just launched Notion Projects, which includes new, powerful ways to manage projects and leverage the power of their built-in AI features too. Notion Projects combines project management with your docs, knowledge base, and AI feature too, so you can stop jumping between tools and stop paying too much for them too. One workspace that includes everything you need, from brainstorming to drafting launch plans to organizing sprints and keeping everyone on deadline. And Notion can be customized to work the way you like to work, with timelines, tables, or Kanban boards. And did I mention integrated AI? Do your most efficient work with Notion projects. You can try it for free today at notion.com/MacVoices. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/MacVoices. When you use my link, you're supporting my show. Go right now to notion.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Notion for supporting Mac Voices. Today's edition of Mac Voices is supported by HelloFresh. Go to hellofresh.com/MacVoices50 and use the code MacVoices50 for 50% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh makes it easy to eat well. Two of my favorite things, easy and eating well. Get farm-fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes that come right to your doorstep. But it gets better. HelloFresh's menu features calorie-smart and protein-smart lunch and dinner options, plus new vegan dinners to choose from. HelloFresh makes it easy to reach your food goals with flavorful recipes that leave you feeling satisfied. And maybe even try a new diet option. HelloFresh gets that you want options when it comes to what to make for dinner, not just the same old thing all the time. That's why they offer 40 recipes to choose from every single week, so you'll never get bored and can always find something new to try and love. That's one of the things I love about HelloFresh. 40 different options each week, so I don't get bored and I'm always exploring what's new and interesting. That just doesn't happen when you're cooking by yourself. You tend to make the same thing over and over. HelloFresh changes that. Go to hellofresh.com/MacVoices50 and use the code MacVoices50 for 50% off plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/MacVoices50 and use the code MacVoices50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Thanks to HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, for supporting this week's Mac Voices.
I think the difference would be an LLM used to make content still relies on a human being to put that content somewhere where it can be seen. Whereas if you had a true artificial intelligent creation, it would create the content and then put itself onto the internet so that anybody doing a search would sit there, oh, okay, well, here it's true because here it is right here from this other source. So I think that would be part of the difference right there, is artificial intelligence would basically cover its tracks as compared to an LLM, which still relies on silly humans to put it out there.
I don't really understand that. I mean, there's always going to be, some form of input. A human being, if a child was born and lived in a, sensory deprivation chamber, it wouldn't know much of anything after 20 years. Conversely, I was going to mention, you don't educate a child by taking a baby and trying to feed all information into it. Mm-hmm. We design lesson plans and we, there's a certain structure which doesn't exist at all for LLMs. There is no structure. It's just, feed all of this in. And there's absolutely no sense of, this is more important than that, or, here's some organizational principles. There is no organizational principles.
And you couldn't add organizational principles to an LLM. I don't think you can.
No, because no, you can't. That's not, it's just simply, looking at this statistically. So, I think that's why, the mismoniker of AI is so unfortunate, because it has nothing to do with what we think of as intelligence. There's no logic. There's no structure. There's no meaning. There's none of those things. It's just put a bunch of garbage in and, we get a bunch of garbage out, which sometimes, it's apparently pretty good at producing, at least reasonable looking garbage. But it's not doing it, if you ask a person a question, the person is not internally working the way an LLM does at all.
So this will be an interesting experiment for us to try, for those of us that have used ChatGPT. But I wonder if you ask an LLM to give me the 5 or 25 steps in accomplishing a task in the order of importance. Now,
what about it? It doesn't know what any of that means.
But it's going to look through its corpus for content that as closely as possible matches your query, and then it's going to string together words that in the order appear to be plausible based on the content it found, which is where the whole is it plagiarizing discussion comes in. So it just because it has the right information or some information that seems to fit in some way into your query doesn't mean that the information it gives back is actually correct. And which then goes back to the whole thing about, well, how do we know it's real? How do we know what's right? Then we have to go do our own research. And as we have said many times, this is just a big mess right now.
Yeah. And I think part of that mess might be we are anthropomorphizing something that is not that advanced.
Agreed. We're all doing it. I think that's a human thing, and it's hard not to, especially when you see some of the things that come out of ChatGPT. You put the right query in, and it can come out and sound very very human-like, and Jeff has said it a number of times, very authoritative, and be completely
Maybe
wrong.
we should go back to pet rocks.
Right? Yeah, their algorithm seems to be pretty solid.
I'm still massively jealous of the guy that thought of the pet rock myself. I could go in my backyard and make a fortune.
You've got a whole free range market back there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you have-
Humanely raised and sourced pet rocks.
I don't know if we solved anything.
Brittany is like, what is a pet rock?
Yeah.
Please. I learned history.
Oh, thank you, Brittany. Oh, all right. It's time for some of us to go take our Geritol, apparently, based on Brittany's comment. Thank you very much.
Brittany's going, what is Geritol?
Yeah.
Dear ChatGPT, write an article about Chuck Joyner taking Geritol.
No.
Return.
Oh, let's get out of here before
Actually, what was
answer
that
comes
stuff?
back.
I think it's time to leave.
I think yeah, right. I'm going to flip it around on my screen and start with Brian. Brian, thank you for being here. Whatever this was, I really appreciate it. Where can folks connect with you?
Thank you once again for having me. A couple places to find me online. Mastodon at Brian8944 at mastodon.cloud. And then also Twitter, Brian8944.
Great. Thanks again. Guy Serle,
Yeah.
thank you for getting here. It's always a pleasure, you and your
Thank you.
microphones. Where can folks find you?
You can find me over on the Twitters as Mac Parrot or Vert Shark. I'm also Mac Parrot at Counter Social and Mac Parrot on Mastodon.social. Email address is podcast@vertshark.com or guy@mymac.com. Of course, I do the mymac.com podcast nearly every week for the last 12, 13, 14 years. Been so long in the past, I don't even remember myself with Gazmaz. And we've been doing that a long time. And of course, the totally ridiculous Guy's Daily Drive, where I drive in a car and say whatever pops into my head, which is, of course, very dangerous. Worse than ChatGPT.
The only thing
Equally accurate, or
Yes.
the only thing scarier than ChatGPT is Guy GPT.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
I mean, at least with ChatGPT, there's a statistical probability that the next word out of its mouth will make sense.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen with Guy GTP.
On that note,
broken clock and everything.
10 after 10 a.m. p.m. Something is correct.
wait a minute. I got to go and see if GuyGPT.com is available.
That's awesome.
.social.
Jeff Gamet, thank you for being here. And you've already said that you probably won't be with us next week because of the move. So congratulations. Good luck.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We hope you get here the week after.
That's the plan. I have worked very hard to make all the logistics play out like a finely choreographed dance. And so far, everything's working. But next week, that's when it can all just go down the dumpster so fast. But I'm going to think positive for now, and I'm going to stay on target. Yeah. So you can
stay on target.
Stay on target.
That helmet says that, by the way. Like you push it and it says stuff.
Really? It does. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Also cut the chatter. Chuck just needs a button that says that.
Right? Yeah.
I want you to wear that next time, Brittany.
If only we had people that could record little sound bites like that for Chuck. If only.
I don't know who with the microphone, or I'd do it.
Right? Yeah. Oh, I'm supposed to tell you where to find me. I forgot.
At some
Anyhow,
point.
so currently you can find me on social media since my living arrangements are now in a super state of
State of
if am I
flux.
living in one place or two or none. So social media, Jay Gamet on basically everything. I'm active on Mastodon and Instagram, and then for shows. You still let me come back on Tuesdays, so I'm going to keep coming back. Thank you. And then on Thursdays, Dave keeps letting me come back on In Touch with iOS. So thank you. And I guess both of you are just gluttons for punishment. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm not judging. Then let's see, also on Thursdays on the British Tech Network, The Big Show. Then on Fridays, The Mac Show. And Brian Chaffin and I record the Context Machine. This last week's Context Machine, Brian was out. So I had Patrice Brendamore on and talked with her about Vision Pro from a little bit different perspective. And it was loads of fun.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. And good luck. Seriously, we're having fun with you, but good luck with the move.
Good luck.
Oh, thanks. It'll all work out one way or another.
Yeah. Like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Pen Roethig, thank you for being here, you and your cans. Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me at Ben Roethig on social media and everywhere Jeff just said, except for the Context Machine. I'm not cool enough to be on that one.
All right. Tell you what, Ben, if Brian isn't back in town this week, do you want to do the show with me?
Sure.
All right, I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You can also find me at not at Ben Roethig, but Roethig.tech on the web.
Great. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
The Flash himself, Mr. Eric Bolden. Eric, I mean, they shouldn't have any trouble finding you with that shirt, but in case they do, how should they go about it?
I'm not totally hidden like now. EA Bolden at techhub.social. Yes, Mastodon is where I mostly hang out right now.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your Mastodon knowledge. We appreciate it. Brittany Smith, next time bring the helmet, and then every time you feel the urge, just hit that little button that says cut the chatter.
Well, I can't tell you which it randomly says different stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
my nephew, who's not finished
Kind of like
A New Hope, keeps asking, who's that? Who's that?
So when
Hi.
you're not here keeping us straight, where can folks find you?
I keep nothing straight. You can find me. My website is Conquer.consulting, or ADD Liberator finds me many, many places. I guess Twitter, if you're still there. I not usually. Mastodon with a pdx.social after it. And YouTube and that other one, TikTok. Those places.
Great. Thanks, Britt. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jim Ray, what's the best way for folks to connect with you live and in person? Or not?
well, let's see. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on YouTube. I'm not on TikTok. But you can find me on the web at provue.com, PROVUE, and on Mastodon at provuejim at techhub.social. And apparently I'm coming in hot here every Tuesday.
Okay. I'm so tempted.
Which I
I'm not
appreciate.
going to.
It is so much fun.
Jeff, the amount of restraint you've shown at times is the amount of restraint I'm showing now.
I'm I
Last-
totally get it, Chuck.
Oh man! Last but absolutely not least, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, thank you for coming. What's the best way for folks to connect with you?
Thanks for having me as well. You can find me at IntouchableIOS at IntouchableIOS.com. YouTube channel is youtube.com/IntouchableIOS. Here on Tuesdays, on the Mac Show on Fridays, and I'm on social media most places at DaveG65, including Mastodon, Twitter, and others. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We do have a news flash, folks. Guy GPT can be had .com can be had for only $90,000.
Yep.
I'll take 2.
Yeah.
How about GuyGPT.social?
I didn't look that one up. Guy. Oh, it's available for $9.99. There you go, Guy. You're muted. Maybe it's better than was muted than he was muted. I'm not sure.
The cat hit the mic.
I went to get the cat, and it was like, okay. She was at the door howling, and she knows that's how she gets my attention when that door is closed.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices Live. This was a really good discussion tonight. I don't know that we solved anything, but hopefully it made you think a little bit. I know it made me think about a couple things. So we'll see where this all goes. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We do this every Tuesday night. We will do it again next Tuesday night. We would love to have you join us. And of course, if you can't make that, these shows show up eventually in the MacVoices feed. So you don't miss out, even if you can't be here with us. That's it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.